Welcome back to Action Figure Obsession. This will be a quick one. I the last few days I've been going through my weapons crate and kind of handing out some accessories to some of my figures. And these are two Hasbro Fortnite figures. I believe they're both Hasbro. I don't think either one of them is Jazzwares. Um, yeah, I'm pretty sure. And I think I got these at Ollie's for $9.99 each, if I recall correctly. Um, the one on the left is Sky, and the one on the right is TN which I had to look up on my Google Lens or Google Eye or whatever that thing is. And at first it tried to tell me it was Yelena Belova because I put the Yelena Belova vest on her. It has so many pockets. Um, put the Yelena Belova vest on her to try to make her look a little more hardcore. And then when I just zoomed in on the face, it told me that it was CoverGirl from the G.I. Joe Classified series, but it's not. Finally, I got it to admit that it is in fact TN from the Hasbro Fortnite line. Short-lived. They did some pretty good figures in that Fortnite line, Hasbro, and Jazzwares did as well, and even McFarlane Toys. My Cuddle team leader is from the McFarlane Toys Fortnite stuff. And of course, I love the Fortnite G.I. Joe Classified crossover figure, the Snake Eyes that they did. I mean, some of the accessories, the Goofy, Boogie Bombs, and all that stuff, I don't really have a whole lot of use for. Although, as we've seen in previous videos, I can't throw them away because, action figure obsession. But but I do like these two figures, and there's a few other Fortnite figures scattered around my collection, around the toy room. Sky, and I don't know anything about these characters. I mean, they're both skins in the Fortnite game. If you've played Fortnite, you know already 1,000 times more than I do. But Sky is now wielding that McFarlane hand cannon, and then TN has inherited the I think those are Tech Nines from Marvel Legends. I think they might have been the ones that came with the Punisher Nick Fury 2-pack. I'm not sure if it was because there's two of them and they're the same color. So they either came together or I bought two of whatever figure they came with. It's hard to say. Not really sure. Sometimes when you have an action figure obsession, some of the information just recedes into the background as you delight in the quality of the figures themselves. Again, like yesterday when I was talking about this hand cannon, and I wasn't sure if it was McFarlane or if it was Valaverse, and it took me a little while to jog my memory and figure out what was going on. Listen, the old memory ain't what it used to be. You know what I'm telling you? I mean, I remember the night Nixon resigned the presidency. Do you? Probably not. Uh, but yeah, so the important thing is when you have an action figure obsession is to have as much fun as you can with what you have. And I did buy these two figures in part for the accessories that they came with, which have now been either doled out to other characters or are living in my fodder bins. But the TN figure, especially on the right here, and her T-shirt is cool that she's wearing. I forget what it says, like Route 66 or something. I'm not going to take that vest off because it was a hard time getting it off the Black Widow figure and then onto TN without wrecking it, and I don't want to wreck it again. And that Black Widow figure actually looks better. Actually, this vest, I think, is from the Natasha Romanoff Black Widow from the movie, who had gotten it from Yelena. So it's interesting that Google thought that it was a Yelena figure. But I just think, it fits her perfectly, and it really kind of adds something to it. And if I recall correctly, the Black Widow figure actually looks better without the vest than it did with the vest, too, because underneath it was a fully painted, with the red Black Widow symbol and all that under the figure. So it's kind of a twofer to have a better Black Widow because I took the vest off it, and then have a better TN figure because I took that vest and put it on Tina. So there she is with her, I think, Tech Nines, if I recall correctly. I think that's what those are. And I'm just going to call that a hand cannon. I don't know if it's a 357 Magnum or 45. I'm not sure what that's supposed to be. In fact, unlike the Valaverse ones, I think it might just be kind of a made-up amalgam of, different styles and different components to just look like a very intimidating hand cannon. But I keep these guys in my GI Joe classified section. There, I consider that this one here, Sky. She's probably like an enthusiastic mascot going off and blowing away Cobra troops. And then Tina's a little older, a little more experienced. She's seen some shit, as you can clearly see in that 1,000-yard stare. And she probably on the weekend she hangs out with Scarlett and Cover Girl, and they go clubbing or whatever. It's that's basically you got to have a reason why these Fortnite figures are visiting the GI Joe classified universe. It never occurs to me, by the way, when looking at figures like this, to put the Fortnite Snake Eyes with them, but that's probably because I've stripped him of most of his Fortnite stuff just to make him look like a really cool, really good. In fact, he is my favorite Snake Eyes on that 00/02 body. They did a nicer job on that Fortnite collaborative Snake Eyes with Fortnite and GI Joe Classified than they did on any of the actual GI Joe Classified series Snake Eyes figures that use that body. It's just crazy, but it is how it is. Also, I don't know if you noticed, we've been looking at these guys a while. There's very nice paint on them. The camouflage. That sweater could have used a little texture or shading or something. The camera's a little blah. The coat has some pins all over it that just look like tumors because they didn't bother to paint them. I have seen pictures from the actual game skin, and those are all cute little buttons and pins, and that could have looked really, really nice, but instead it looks like she has some kind of skin condition. That's Hasbro, cutting off their nose to spite their face, because this figure would be flawless if they had just painted those pins. That would have been really nice. It must be very frustrating to be the sculptor who added that detail, and then it just gets lost because Hasbro cheaps out and doesn't want to spend 2 cents a figure to pay somebody to paint them. I mean, you wouldn't have even had to put designs or logos on them or anything. Just make one pink and one blue and one yellow and one black and whatever, and it would have looked great. It would have looked great. And Tina has a pretty nice paint job too. She's got some paint on her grenades and her little grenade holder there, and there's a little bit of paint on the boots, and she's got her logo on her t-shirt, and she's got her makeup. Both of these are decent, really decent looking figures that with just some minor adjustments look great in my GI Joe display, hanging out. I mean, especially Tina. Why wouldn't she be hanging around with Cover Girl? She looks as much like a GI Joe as Cover Girl does, right? If you're familiar with Cover Girl at all, and I just like to think that Sky is some kid that kind of wandered into the battle, and she's got a little bit of skill. Maybe she has good aim, and Duke was like, "Hey kid, why don't you do this? Why don't you do that? Why don't you help us out? Why don't you help us beat Cobra?" And that's the name of that tune. That's why these two Fortnite figures are in my G.I. Joe Classified series displays. So that'll do it. I thought this would be shorter than it was, but, sometimes you just get talking and you've had a little bit too much caffeine, and it just goes on and on and on and on. I don't know what to tell you. Thanks for joining me for this video. If you like it, please like, comment, subscribe, ring the notification bell, share it with your friends, and let them know all about what we're doing here on Action Figure Obsession on the Avian and Loaded channel, and I will see you on the next Action Figure Obsession.